House of the Dragon Season 2 is coming soon, and beside House Targaryen and their members, we'll finally get to see more of the great houses of Westeros as the Targaryen civil war rages, and each side tries to recruit more houses to their cause. Beside House Stark led by Cregan Stark, Season 2 of Game of Thrones prequel series will also see the return of House Greyjoy, leading House Greyjoy of Pyke, which is one of the great houses of Westeros ruling over the Iron Islands, from the sea stone chair in the castle of Pyke on the island of the same name, at the time of the Dance of the Dragons, is Dalton Greyjoy, also known as the Red Kraken. The Red Kraken is a wild and bloodthirsty warrior who will, following the Targaryen civil war, be forever written in the legends and stories of the Ironborn. So Dalton Greyjoy is the Lord of the Iron Islands, Lord Reaper of Pyke, and the head of House Greyjoy during the late reign of King Viserys I Targaryen, and then the Dance of the Dragons. Dalton is a daring and war-thirsty man. He is loved by his men, but not by his wives, as he gets tired of women quickly. Despite his youth, Dalton is both shrewd and wild. The Red Kraken is regarded as a great hero of the Ironborn of the Iron Islands. In his early days as the wild young son of the heir to Pyke, Dalton rode at the age of 5 and reaved at 10, sailing with his uncle to plunder the pirate towns of the Basilisk Isles. By 14, Dalton had sailed as far as Old Geese, fought in a dozen actions, and claimed 4 salt wives. The Red Kraken has his own Valyrian steel longsword, which he named Nightfall, after he took it from a corsair he killed. He earned his nickname while fighting in Stepstones as a cell sail, when the 15-year-old Dalton avenged his uncle after watching his death, because Dalton emerged from the fight drenched in blood from a dozen wounds. Men began calling him the Red Kraken. Later in the same year, Dalton returned to the Iron Islands to claim the Sea Stone chair, after hearing of his father's death. His first order upon becoming the Lord of the Iron Islands was to build longships, forge swords, and train fighters, citing that the storm is coming as the reason. In the current events in House of the Dragon, the Targaryen civil war began after the death of King Viserys I Targaryen, and Dalton is 16 years old. The Red Kraken is said to have left, after hearing of the outbreak of the Targaryen civil war. Everything we're going to say from now on is what happens in the George R.R. Martin's book Fire and Blood, and thus what will happen in House of the Dragon Season 2 and onwards. So if you do not want to get spoiled, then now is the time to leave this video. Anyways, the Greens of Aegon II Targaryen offered Dalton the position of Master of Ships and the Admiralty to replace Sir Tywin Lannister, who had been made Master of Coin, if Dalton would bring his ships around Westeros to battle Lord Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake. Instead of leaping to the offer, Dalton waits to see what the Blacks led by Rhaenyra have to offer. On the Black Council, Prince Daemon Targaryen suggests appealing to Dalton's bloodlust to bring him on the side of Rhaenyra Targaryen. Instead of asking him to sail to Blackwater Bay and join forces with the Sea Snake or any kind of gathering of forces, Rhaenyra only asks for Dalton to attack her enemies. The Red Kraken chooses Rhaenyra over Aegon, but not because he's loyal to late King Viserys' wishes or because he thinks she's the rightful heir. He only does it because it suits him. He wants to attack the Westerlands and kill the Lannisters. Dalton decides to attack the nearby Westerlands, vulnerable with Lord Jason Lannister campaigning in the Riverlands, and fighting against the Starks' Winter Wolves. Jason's wife, Lady Johanna, bars the gates of House Lannister's seat, Casterly Rock, but is unable to protect the rest of the West. Dalton burns the fleet of House Lannister and sacks Lannisport, carrying off gold, grain, and trade goods. Hundreds of women and girls are taken as salt wives, including the favorite mistress of Jason and their natural daughters. Dalton leads the failed capture of Case, and after the fall of Fair Castle and Fair Isle, he claims 4 of Lord Farman's daughters as salt wives, giving the 5th, the homely one, to his brother Varon. For the better part of 2 years during the entire Targaryen civil war, the Red Kraken rules the Sunset Sea like the Ironborn kings of old, although he does not claim the title King of the Iron Islands. When the war is over, Sir Tywin Lannister and the Regency of Aegon III command Dalton to cease his raiding and his war, but the Red Kraken ignores them. When Lady Johanna Lannister begins building a new fleet on behalf of her son, Lord Lorien Lannister, Dalton's Iron Men burn her shipyards and abduct another 100 women. Dalton Greyjoy's nickname beside the Red Kraken should have also been the Lion's Bane, because he's an absolute menace for House Lannister. Dalton never took a rock wife, although he's got 22 salt wives. When Dalton hears of the Maiden's Day cattle show, he considers sending one of his sisters as a candidate to become King Aegon III Targaryen's second bride. And of course, he continues to destroy House Lannister. After Lady Johanna's Westermen defended case and slew Dalton's favorite uncle, Johanna sends a ragtag fleet to discreetly invade Fair Isle. The Ironmen ambush these Westermen, however, and Dalton sends the heads of Lord Prester, Lord Tarbeck, and Sir Erwin Lannister to Johanna at Casterly Rock. The Iron Throne had enough of the Red Kraken, and they decide it's time to put stop to him. After Lord Elin Velaryon defeats the Braavosi fleet in the Stepstones during the Daughters' War, Lord Dunwyn Pyke attempts to rid himself of Elin Oakenfist by sending him to end Dalton's insurrection. Dalton responds by gathering hundreds of longships to Fair Isle and the coasts of the Westerlands. The Red Kraken intends to conquer the 4 islands of the Reach called Shield Islands and the seat of House Velaryon Driftmark. He also plans to sack Old Town, seat of House Hightower, and Sunspear, seat of House Martell, before the Red Kraken could sail his huge fleet of Ironborn to war and conquest. He is killed while sleeping in Lord Farman's bedchamber at Fair Castle in 133 AC. Dalton is killed by one of his salt wives, the girl Tess, when she cut his throat with his own dagger before throwing herself into the sea. As the Red Kraken had never taken a rock wife, his heirs are 2 young salt sons at Pyke, Torron, and Roderick. Dalton also had 3 sisters and several ambitious cousins, which will naturally cause many problems for House Greyjoy as they try to settle the succession. His son Torron is only 5 years old, and within hours of the Red Kraken's death, a bloody struggle for succession breaks out among the Ironborn. Hundreds of Ironmen are killed as Fair Isle rose in rebellion. Fair Castle held out for a time, but the castle falls after Gunther Goodbrother slays Alistair Winch, while fighting for another of Dalton's salt wives, Lysa Farman. Having arrived to find Dalton already dead, Elin Velaryon, known as Oakenfist, leaves a third of his fleet with the Lannisters and the Westermen, and returns home for the Crownlands. A bloody struggle for power breaks out in the Iron Islands after Dalton's death. In 134 AC, Lord Jason Lannister's widow, Johanna Lannister, avenges Dalton's raids by having her men-at-arms sail to the Iron Islands, with the fleet of Sir Leo Costain, the Lord Admiral of the Reach. Among the Ironborn slain are 2 of Dalton's sisters and 9 of his cousins. His younger son Roderick is taken captive, gelded, and made into Casterly Rock's new fool. The Red Kraken's legendary Valyrian steel sword, Nightfall, passed to House Harlow. It's yet unknown how or why it didn't stay in House Greyjoy. Dalton Greyjoy is a warlord and a very interesting character, legend of the Ironborn whose tales they are still reading to children of the Iron Islands. The Red Kraken is a great warrior and military genius, who wants to bring back glorious days from the past, as he misses the time when the Ironborn were conquerors, instead of mere subjects of Targaryens the old way. A menace for House Lannister, the Red Kraken, and House Greyjoy will appear in House of the Dragon, and both he and the fleets of the Ironborn will be desired by both the Greens and the Blacks. Dalton Greyjoy sides with Rhaenyra, and the rest of it you already know. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next one.